Join me as I spend some productive days in my small kitchen. Today's video follows me around as I clean and organize my little kitchen and prepare a few bulk items to keep my kitchen running this week. Be sure to subscribe to follow along on our journey as we learn homesteading skills, care for our home and family through cooking from scratch, and live intentionally as good stewards of the provisions we have been given. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. Thanks for dropping by our wilderness home. We're so glad you're here. I have recently gotten into sourdough. It was just a matter of time, but I have started the sourdough journey and I'm excited to be on the journey and to learn more. So far, I have been making this particular recipe from Farmhouse on Boone. It is for small batch sourdough. While I'm certain we could easily eat a normal batch of sourdough bread, I have a 3-quart Dutch oven and a larger Dutch oven is needed for the normal sized batch of sourdough bread, so following this recipe works for now. I am getting into the rhythm of feeding my starter in the mornings, saving the discard to make other sourdough discard recipes, measuring the ingredients in grams for sourdough recipes, and working on the preparation, stretch and folds, and bulk fermentation into my days. I have been meaning to put my starter in the fridge because I don't need to make a batch of bread every day or every other day. I am currently still making my yeast bread loaves as well, so we have a lot of bread around here. I was initially intimidated by sourdough because I thought it was so much hands-on time to do the stretch and folds and wait for the fermentation process and all of that. And then the discard. I did not want to throw away food, so the idea of that didn't sound great. However, at least with this specific bread recipe, I have found it really easy to work into my days. I am at home most of the time, but I could still make this bread even on days when I am out and about for several hours. Basically, all I need to do is be sure that I am home and around the kitchen for around a 2-hour chunk of time. After that, I can be gone for several hours or even go to sleep for the night for the fermentation to happen overnight. The first step in this recipe is measuring out and mixing the ingredients, of course. Then allowing the dough to sit for about 30 minutes. After that, you do a stretch and fold every 30 minutes, and it'll be about 3 rounds of that. When I say that I need to be around my kitchen for a 2-hour chunk of time, that does not mean 2 hours of hands-on time. I am only coming back to my dough when I need to do my stretch and folds, and those are every 30 minutes, but they really probably take less than a minute to even do one stretch and fold. The following step is to leave the dough in the bowl for 6 to 12 hours or until it doubles. After that, you turn the dough out onto a lightly floured surface and fold it a couple more times and make it into a ball of sorts. It needs to sit for around 15 minutes to develop kind of like an outer skin, so to speak. Next, I put a tea towel into a small bowl and place the dough into the bowl lined with the tea towel. It should be steam side up so that the side that was exposed to the air on the counter for that 15 minutes is on the bottom side of the bowl. I cover it with plastic wrap and a headband because that helped the plastic wrap to stay on the bowl. Then it goes into the fridge for 12 hours, I believe is what it says in the recipe. I usually have mine in there around 12 hours or so. Once the dough is finished in the fridge, you preheat your Dutch oven at 500 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour. Once the hour has passed, you flip the dough onto parchment paper and put a few slits in it. I don't have any kind of fancy tools or razors or anything for this, so I just use a knife from my knife block. Then you move the dough into the Dutch oven by lifting the parchment paper. You have to be super careful when handling the hot Dutch oven though, so be careful. Then you put the lid on the Dutch oven. I've had to experiment with the timing for my oven, but it looks like it takes around 15 to 17 minutes for me to bake my bread with the lid on. After that time, you remove the lid and reduce the temperature to 475 degrees Fahrenheit and put the Dutch oven back into the oven for around 15 to 20 minutes. I find that closer to 15 minutes works for my oven. I take my bread out of the Dutch oven pretty much right after it comes out of the oven so that it can cool a little bit faster. I carefully lift the parchment paper and put it onto a wire rack to cool. Wait until the bread is completely cooled to cut it. I even find waiting until the next day to cut it works a lot better. Well, that's a lot of steps. I personally have already memorized most of the steps, and I don't find it too hard for me to work it into my normal life. But I am also home most of the time, so I do have that flexibility. Again, this recipe is from Farmhouse on Boone, and I will be sure to link it in the description box below. Next up, I am making a big batch of waffles to freeze some for later. Our absolute favorite waffle recipe is from the Hope's Table cookbook. I have talked about this cookbook before, and I highly recommend it because it has so many easy, hearty, and relatively healthy meals in it. My friend gave this cookbook to me as a wedding gift a few years ago, and I reference it all the time. I'll be sure to link the cookbook below if you are interested in picking up a copy for yourself. Anyway, we love that recipe, but I wanted to look for another one that was specific for sourdough discard because I had a ton of it that I needed to use. I found this recipe from Pantry Mama, and it was very easy to make these waffles and use up some discard. I doubled the recipe this time, but I might triple it the next time that I make a huge batch of waffles. We really enjoyed this recipe as well. I didn't have much planned for supper this particular day, so we had these waffles with scrambled eggs as a breakfast for dinner type of meal. My husband did not complain. Also, our baby really likes waffles, and I didn't really feel bad giving these to the baby because I know what was in them, and there also wasn't much sugar in this recipe for waffles. We saved a few waffles for breakfast the next day, and I froze the rest. To freeze the waffles, I put 2 of them on a baking sheet and put down a layer of parchment paper first. Then I layered 2 more and so on. I popped them into the freezer for maybe an hour or so, but they likely would have been ready sooner. That's just when I got around to them. Then I split the parchment sheets in half that I used, and I layered the waffles into a freezer bag and put them back into the freezer. So basically waffle parchment, and so on. These will be an easy addition to our breakfasts in the future, especially if I don't have bread made or don't have oatmeal or another type of carb that we would typically have with breakfast. Are waffles healthy? Well, maybe not. However, I know what's in these waffles, and I am comfortable feeding them to my family because of it. They are much healthier than anything you could buy at the store. Whenever I am able to start milling my own wheat, I plan to make our waffles with fresh milled grain. Do you have one of those areas in your home or kitchen or car or whatever that you see all the time and you think to yourself, I really need to do something about that. Stuff is everywhere and sometimes it falls out when I'm looking for something. Yeah, well, I have about 802 of those areas in my home, and this cupboard was one of them. I use this cabinet all the time because this is where I store my mixing bowls, cutting boards, and things like sieves and colanders, along with some other things that are used periodically. Anyway, it was bugging me, so I decided it was time to clean and organize this space so I could free up the mental space of it bothering me. I also have a bunch of disposable cups and forks and straws and stuff like that because when we have picnics or cookouts or just friends or family over, it is nice to have some disposable stuff, especially if we are spending time outside. Some of these cups are actually from our wedding reception, so we definitely don't use them all the time, and that's why we still have some, but I just like to have these sorts of things on hand, and if I happen to see them on sale or clearance or something, sometimes I'll pick them up. I am working on growing my collection of glass mixing bowls, and I would love to get some of those pretty ceramic ones that are vintage, but I haven't been able to find any of those that are in my budget lately. Anyway, I still have some plastic bowls that we got as a wedding gift years ago, and I used to use them all the time. I really like how they have the grip on the bottom. However, I'm trying to move away from plastic as much as I can with the budget and resources that we have. I'm hanging on to them for now because we do use them from time to time. I am mostly using the metal mixing bowls and will incorporate the glass bowls as I get them. Working on this area was definitely motivating, and I moved on to clean and organize a couple other areas in my kitchen that same day, which you will see next and later in this video. You know how stuff just sits in an area so long that you're not even used to seeing it there and you don't notice it as clutter or messy? Yeah, I've got a lot of those spaces too. One area that I've tried to keep up with is our coffee area. It's really just our countertop, precious real estate really, but since it sits right next to our sink and we don't have a dishwasher, it can get really cluttered really fast with dishes if we don't put the dishes in the sink or keep up with washing them. Each morning, part of my routine is to clean up this area. It doesn't always happen if I have to leave the house early or something like that, but for the most part, I am able to keep up with it. Inevitably, dishes will make their way there, especially because I cook and bake most of our food from scratch, so I make a lot of dishes along with food. But we make sure the dishes are done in the evening so that nothing is sitting and waiting to welcome us in the morning. I'm still working on a better system with the small space that we have and the need to hand wash our dishes, but this works for now. By the way, if you're interested in checking out the espresso machine that I have and really love, there is a link in the description box below for that. It is an economy level espresso machine, but it has worked great for me and I really like it. Since, of course, we do our dishes by hand, we have dishes in our drainer rack thing all the time too. We would often just leave them until we did the dishes the next time, but I have also tried to put these away in the mornings when I am taking the time to clean up the coffee area. It just feels calmer when there aren't so many things out on the countertops. At some point soon, as that spring cleaning urge hits, I want to go through all my cabinets and drawers and whatnot and really assess each item to see if it is something we use or need or really like. Our house is just not big enough to keep every little thing, and I honestly just would really like to know that what we own is what we use and like. We added our first animals to our little homestead last fall when we purchased some chickens from our friends who were moving. We got 14 hens and 1 rooster from them. We added a few more chickens a few months ago, but with predators and whatnot, we have lost a few. The hens are older and weren't laying as well when we first got them, since the time of year wasn't conducive for laying either. I should have a disclaimer though that I don't know much about chickens. My husband is pretty much the one in charge of them, but I'm learning as he learns and will help him as he needs me to help with them. Hard-boiled eggs have been my new favorite snack. I found some organic eggs on clearance at Kroger recently, and I picked them up to make a dozen hard-boiled eggs, since we really aren't getting enough eggs to use up a whole dozen just for my snack. These eggs were nearing their best by date, so I did the float test just to be sure that they were not bad. I also didn't know about the float test until we got into the egg chicken world, so I'll share what it is in case you'd like to know too. Basically, you fill a bowl with water and you place the eggs inside the bowl. If they stay at the bottom, they're the freshest ones. If they're tipped up slightly, then they should be used pretty soon because they are older, but they're not bad. And then if they float, they're bad, you should not eat them. Thankfully, all of the ones in this pack were good. I've only made hard-boiled eggs once before this, but they're very easy to make and I like batch making them so I can snack on them for several days. Anyways, so the hens are still not laying great since the weather is hit or miss, cold, warm, and all that, but we do get anywhere from around 2 to 5 eggs in a day. Want an easy way to change your life? Start shredding your own cheese instead of buying it pre-shredded. The cheese doesn't have to be fancy. Just try buying a bar of cheese instead of the pre-shredded cheese. There are added ingredients in the pre-shredded cheese, so even if the cheese you are buying is not organic or grass-fed or whatever, at least buying the block of cheese is a better choice than the already shredded cheese. I am shredding some really great, super tasty, organic, raw cheddar cheese here from AZURE Standard. This cheese is amazing. We love it. It was pricey, but we wanted to give it a try and we made it work for our budget this month. I'll put a link for it in the description box if you are interested in trying it out because it just tastes totally different than the cheese we were getting at the store. This is another area that needed some attention. I have tried to just keep towels and dishcloths that are 100% cotton, but I have a few other ones in here. I don't really find that I reach for them very often, so I might part with them sometime soon. I'm not 100% sure. But we use our kitchen towels, tea towels, and cleaning rags in here all the time. The drawer just gets a little full sometimes if things aren't folded right. I probably have way too many of these in here, but for now, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to take the towels and rags out, clean up the drawer, and fold everything nicely. The nice folds probably won't last long, but it is a nice feeling to get things looking tidy, even if it is just for a little bit. I don't know about you, but I am more inclined to eat apples if they are already sliced and ready to go. I like to cut up a batch of apples and put them in a container in the fridge with some lemon juice, which helps to slow the browning. I also like my apples when they are chilled. Maybe I'm high maintenance in the apple world, but this is the way that I like it, so this is what I'm gonna do. While it is a little more time up front to make a bunch of waffles, a dozen hard-boiled eggs, shred a block of cheese, or cut up a few apples, that time investment pays off. I enjoy making a batch of things that I can use later, especially because future me might be sick or have a busy day or a cranky baby, and it's nice to know that past me did something that future me was grateful for. Thanks so much for stopping by our wilderness home as I spent some time in my kitchen batch making a few items and organizing some spaces in my little kitchen as well. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel for more homemaking and homesteading content and our journey as we are trying to be healthier with the food we eat and the products that we buy and the decisions that we make, and just as we're learning all of this stuff in the homemaking, homesteading world. Thanks again for visiting our wilderness home. We'll see you soon.